Welcome back to Comic Confidential, the weekly podcast where we bring you the hottest comic book and TV action. I'm your host, Cade, and alongside me today is my wonderful friend, Troy Spinner.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that lovely intro. Here's what I want you to do next time, though. When you say hottest, I want you to hit it hard.
Okay.
Like the hottest.
The hottest, long pause.
Hottest, pause for effect, comic book, movie, and TV action.
Okay.
And there's an exclamation mark there, so you go like, action.
Really bring it home.
Yeah, bring it home.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, sweet. We're not going to redo it.
No? Okay. We'll run with it this week and then adjust for next week.
Yeah, that's just a note for next week.
Forever improving ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, what's going on, man?
This week has been a big week. We trialed something that was only for the Patreon listeners, and it went down swimmingly.
Everyone was swimming in it.
They were swimming in content goodness.
And what was it?
It was, I guess, the official Lightning News show.
Oh, it has its own show now.
Yeah, I know. I just thought of that then. It just came to me, and because we used to talk a lot of news on the show.
We did.
And some people said that's too much news, and then some people saying that's not enough news.
Yeah, we love the news. Or, hey, you guys, stop it.
Yeah. Hey, guys, we have the internet. We know what's going on.
Yeah, we're on it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we found you.
So you decided to do what? Create this little lightning news show?
Yeah, a little lightning news show. It's 2 minutes of news done almost daily.
Almost daily.
Almost daily. Let's not get too crazy. I'm aiming for 3 a week.
That gives you wiggle room.
Yeah, a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah, just to never drop it.
Yeah, because we release this show on the Sunday, and most people will listen on the Monday.
Correct. So
if I go, what are you thinking? Maybe 3-4 episodes of news a week?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's really going to depend on the type of news that comes out.
Yeah. So if it's newsworthy, I'll bring it out.
You don't want to be dropping sneak peek at Arrow episode 14 or whatever.
No one cares about that type of news.
Correct.
And if you do, that's cool. Jump on the internet and read it.
Yeah, it's there.
But what we're going to do is we're going to be dropping like the daily hottest news stories.
Oh yeah, sweet.
And you'll be getting those at like 6 a.m. in the mornings every day.
Damn.
6
a.m. Are you going to have like a little like a news thing, like a news noise and stuff like that?
Well, there is a little theme that goes with it, and it's like 5 seconds long.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more action-packed. It's still in very much the CC theme.
Yeah.
So it's good, man, and people are liking it. The Patreons are digging it, so it's time to bring it to the world.
Oh, it's coming to the world, so we'll launch that
this week.
Right. Just putting you on the spot. What do we got going on today? We got a lot going on today. We got a little bit of news. We've both got our special little news story as we do.
Yeah, so I think we still do the news every week. It's like maybe if I talk about some super hot news, we bring it together.
Yeah.
And say, hey, remember how you spoke about that earlier in the week?
Yeah, I like that. And we've also we're going to revisit Justice League. But I don't want you guys to freak out and think we're just going to re-review Justice League, because that's not what this is about.
We've done that.
We've done it. Dropped on digital on the 13th, I think.
Yes.
So, yeah, basically you just went back and rewatched it. And
not a bad way to spend your Valentine's Day.
Oh, damn.
On some Moustache gate.
Went down a treat. So we're going to do that, and we're going to talk about it a little bit differently. We're not going to re-review it or anything like that. If you haven't seen the movie by now, there's going to be spoilers.
Yeah, we're going spoilers right away.
I'd hazard to think that this would be the first time someone's seen this movie, though, just on the digital release.
I don't know.
Well, it's not available to rent, right? So you would have to just have never seen Justice League, right? Have heard all these very, very, very mixed things, and then go, you know what? I'm dropping $25 on this bitch. I'm making my own mind. I've got excessive amounts of money that I can just waste on stuff.
I'm an independent movie watcher.
Yeah.
And I choose to watch this.
I don't need no man telling me to watch it or not watch it. I'm going to make my own decisions. So anyway, we're going to do that.
Yeah, I like
that.
That's
a thing.
That's good.
What's on the brag board?
The brag board. So this week we had not a bad response.
Yeah.
Not a bad response. Could be better. Everything can always be better, Troy.
It could be better.
But we did have some fantastic entries. So this week's winner is Chris Sillett. And Chris Sillett is creating a graphic novel that sounds pretty rad.
Yeah.
Goes by the name of The Red Warrior. Or Red Warrior, sorry, not The Red Warrior.
Yep.
And Red Warrior is a story based in a part of uncharted space not yet discovered by humanity. It is a story of action and adventure spanning across multiple worlds and civilizations in a universe that has been ruled by the tyranny of an overlord sorcerer with the power of a god. Amongst the darkness, a spark of hope exists.
Sounds pretty cool.
That does sound cool.
I like it.
So Chris is creating this comic himself. He has a Facebook page.
Yep.
And if you want to read the first chapter for free, you just sign up to his Patreon account.
Damn.
Yeah.
Excellent. I like it. So you can go to his Facebook page and watch it, read it, or is it just on the Patreon? I think it's just on the Patreon.
I think it's just on the Patreon.
Excellent.
But we'll leave all those notes in the show notes so you can go over there and check that out. That sounds so cool.
It does sound pretty cool. I want to know what the spark of hope is.
Yeah.
Is it the All Spark?
I hope so.
Is
this a Transformers
Is he
crossover?
just ripping on Transformers? No, look, it sounds amazing. Red Warrior. Go check it out. We'll have all that in the show notes. If you want to be featured on the brag board, which is basically, what is it? How do you explain it to the people?
It's essentially a place where you can go and share to the world what you're working on.
Yeah.
What you're creating.
Yeah, so creative stuff.
Yeah.
Is what we want. And if you want people to know what you're doing, like, you know, Chris Sillett and Red Warrior, then you just got to join the Facebook listener community, jump on the post your shit, and we'll pick it at some point.
Yeah.
If we haven't gotten to you yet, we're going to get to you at some point. This happens weekly, goddammit.
Every week. You're bound to get picked.
Yeah, at some point.
At some point.
It could be 52 weeks into the future, but it's coming, baby.
Yeah, it's coming.
Red Warrior, check it out. Information in the show notes. Let's get into some news.
Troy, do you want to kick this off?
I do. Now, this week we got our first full trailer for the highly anticipated Disney Pixar superhero sequel, The Incredibles 2, set for release on the 14th of June, just a casual 14 years after the original. Okay, well, first of all, let's talk about the trailer.
Trailer looks cool, man.
It does look cool. So basically, we've got the team. It kicks off almost immediately after the events of The Incredibles, even though that was 14 years ago, as I said.
Yeah, that's so hard for me to kind of make that connection. But, you know, I'm digging it.
Yep. So basically, we're in exactly the same spot. We're facing the Underminer like they did right at the end of The Incredibles. And then it kind of shifts into this whole sort of, you know, there's, I can't remember what his name, Winston Deaver, I think his name was, is trying to bring superheroes back to the forefront because they've been outlawed or whatever still. And he basically wants Elastigirl as the face of that, which leaves Mr. Incredible kind of sitting at home looking after the kids.
Being a stay-at-home dad.
Stay-at-home dad.
Some would say that's a more heroic thing to do, Troy.
It is. Especially when you're dealing with a baby like Jack.
Yeah, wow. That thing has got some powers, doesn't it?
It's got some damn powers. It's got beast mode action.
Beast Boy.
It's got Beast Boy mode. He's got
laser eyes.
Yeah, I think he's got the Omega Beam.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of dark side in him.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of dark side. He can flame on, Human Torch.
Indeed. He can teleport. He's got a bit of Nightcrawler in there.
He does. He's got all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously the most powerful of them all. But he's just a little baby, so even when he hiccups and stuff, shit goes down.
Can you imagine like when that baby starts getting to be like the terrible twos, when they just turn into like the worst creatures in the world?
Yeah.
That will be incredible to see, no pun intended.
Yeah, so I don't know where they're going to go with it in the sense of, like, you know, we're kind of just leading in directly after, so it's probably just a direct sequel. I think it's just going to play directly off that. I don't know where we'll finish and whether we'll get an Incredibles 3 in another 15 years or whatever, or if they're just going to wrap it up with this. But they could. There could be plenty of spin-offs.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you expecting from this? Do you think this is going to outperform the first one, or do you think it's kind of like it's too late now?
Man, I don't know. I've kind of spoken about this before. It's almost like the anticipation is high, and you can see on the internet that the anticipation is still pretty high for this movie. People are keen as hell. But the people who watched it 14 years ago are now grown-ass men. And they may have missed the boat because the younger generation that this movie is probably, you know, targeted towards, are they even really aware what The Incredibles are?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, do you know if they do like Saturday morning cartoon shows with them or anything?
No.
Nothing like that?
Not as far as I know.
Yeah,
no.
right.
There's nothing other than the Incredibles movie back in 2004.
Yeah, right. So there's like nothing there to kind of fish that, I guess, new generation of pop culture fans into this.
Yeah, I guess other than the parents that kind of watched it 14 years ago and wanted to introduce their kids to it. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. It could be great. I think it's going to be great. Like I have high expectations for it still, but we could really see like a whole Finding Dory kind of thing where they just left it way too long and it just heavily underperforms.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it'll be shit like Finding Dory.
No, no one thinks it's going to be terrible like Finding Dory, but hopefully, they haven't missed the boat on this.
I don't think so. If you haven't checked the trailer out, check out the trailer. It is pretty cool. It's only like it's. I would still classify that as a teaser, not like a full trailer necessarily.
Yeah, I was going to say that didn't really tell me a lot apart from Elastigirl.
Yeah,
and the baby.
Yeah, pretty much. And the team's going to get together, and again, we're going to be hit with probably a much better Fantastic Four movie than we've had in the last 14 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Since The Incredibles came out.
Come on, just throw a Stan Lee cameo in there and just make it an official Fantastic Four movie.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Do it,
now,
you guys.
Troy, you were saying something to me before we hit record, is that this is the median age of the actors in this movie is ridiculous.
Yeah, look, it is. It's a pretty old cast when you're looking at kind of like the main characters. So if you're looking at Elastigirl, portrayed by Holly Hunter, if you're looking at Mr. Incredible, which Craig T. Nelson, then you've got Samuel L. Jackson, you've got Catherine Keener, Bob Odenkirk, Jonathan Banks, John Ratzenberger, Isabella Rossellini. Like, we're dead set talking about 50 plus for almost every actor in this movie.
Yeah, right. Well, while you're just explaining that, Troy, I just pulled up some numbers for The Incredibles, Finding Nemo, and Finding Dory.
Right.
And this is quite incredible because The Incredibles made $633 million at the box office.
Damn.
That's huge. Now, Finding Nemo made $940 million.
Damn.
And somehow, Troy, Finding Dory made over $1 billion.
Oh, wow. Okay, see, that I did not know. I didn't think it was a bomb necessarily. I knew critically it wasn't sort of well received, and I know the fans didn't really get into it. But they still dropped $1 billion on it.
Man, that's big.
Okay, so by that, then you would assume that The Incredibles 2 should hit upwards of $800 million. Yeah. And hopefully it's a lot better, because remember, The Incredibles is one of the most critically acclaimed movies that has come out, like, superhero-wise.
Absolutely. It's absolutely fantastic. So, fingers crossed. I'm going to say you heard it here first, 800 million.
800 million plus.
Yep, 800 million plus.
Okay. All right, now what's your story, buddy?
So, my story is, it's a little bit controversial, Troy. So,
I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, former Variety and Mashable editor John L. Dickey shared a pretty shocking tweet last week.
Did he?
He did. So I'll read it out, and excuse me if I kind of butcher this, but the tweet goes, "Since I'm shifting into do not give a fuck mode, here's a hot one for you. Zack Snyder was fired from the DCEU just over 1 year ago. Couldn't write it quite that way at the time, but was able to tap dance around it. Damn.
So he's claiming that as official.
That's official.
Now, there hasn't been any official word from like Warner Brothers or DC Entertainment or anything like that?
Nothing's really come out. And Zack Snyder has been kind of firing up on his social media platform, saying that, there is actually enough footage out there for my version of the film.
Okay.
So there's absolutely huge uproar that people want the Zack Snyder cut.
Yeah.
But from the looks of this, that's never going to happen.
Well, there was a petition, right? There was a petition for it, and there were people were trying to, let's meet at the Warner Brothers lot and let's petition for a Zack Snyder cut of that movie. And 13 people showed up.
Oh, wow.
So it was quite intense. Shit got real. So, like, I get that there are people out there that want the Snyder cut. I get it. I would watch it.
Yeah.
But I would also want to watch the full Joss Whedon version as well.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to give us one, give us both. And let's just see what was actually out there. I'm more interested, though, in this whole whether he's been fired or whether he hasn't, because Zack Snyder has been around since the dawn of the DCEU, if
Absolutely.
that's what they were calling it at that time. And he's still attached to quite a few movies coming out.
Yeah, well, he's still an executive producer on Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2, and Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that kind of, I guess, pushed quite heavily for Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa to take those roles.
Yeah.
So this guy has had, like, as much as you might dislike his input into these films, some of that input that he's had has been fantastic.
Yeah.
And these movies wouldn't be what they are without him.
Well, we haven't seen enough of Jason Momoa to know if that's, really like the right way to go.
Yeah.
Like I did like what I saw from him in Justice League, and we are obviously going to talk more about Justice League soon. But, we haven't seen enough to really know if he was, the spot on right choice. Gal Gadot's casting, though, is pretty well spot on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Had a lot of detractors back in the day, but man, did she prove them wrong. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as they go forward, because, when you're looking at a lot of these movies, like, they're still up in the air. Like, very much up in the air. Like,
absolutely.
We still have no idea what is happening. Like, we know we're getting a Flashpoint movie, and they do have writers on board for that now. But, they've had writers on board before. They've had directors on board before.
Multiple directors.
Suicide Squad 2, as an example, like, it's another one that's kind of been up and down. And is that happening? Is it not? Like, based on which director they're going to get. The only thing that is like a guarantee at this point in time seems to be Wonder Woman 2.
Yes.
Aquaman.
Yes.
And probably Shazam, because that has officially started filming. So, that's coming out. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Absolutely. Have you seen that the guy playing Shazam working out? He's starting to look big.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
The guy's packing on some meat.
Packing on the meat. He's going to need to, let's be honest. But yeah, look, it'll be interesting to see what direction they choose if they have, in fact, kind of separated themselves from Zack Snyder. Because like you said, the guy has... Like, there's some issues with his movies. You cannot deny it. As much as you like them, you cannot say that they're perfect movies.
That's right.
And I think that really works on the flip side as well. As much as you hate them, you cannot say that they are complete train wrecks.
That's right.
So, they do fall somewhere, down the middle of those two things. So we'll see. Almost 3 months after the theatrical release of Justice League back in November, we've finally got a digital release, and we thought, hey, we've got nothing better to do with our time. Why not go back and revisit it? Similar to what we did with Batman vs. Superman, but this time without a director's cut. We went all in again to see if our original thoughts still hold up this time around.
Now, Troy, let me tell you a little about this movie, in case you don't remember from watching it literally hours ago.
Yeah.
After the death of Superman, Steppenwolf invades a vulnerable Earth on a quest to find 3 mother boxes and open up the world to further invasion. It's up to Old Man Batman and mostly Wonder Woman to assemble a league of ragtag heroes to save the day.
Damn. Now, we are going to go through a little bit of stuff that we may have already covered, so bear with us. We just want to, it's kind of like a quick catch-up. So we're going to talk a bit about money. We're going to talk about critical reception, cast, director, all that sort of stuff, but just super brief. Just so you know where we're at. Now, this ended on a worldwide total of $656 million on a reported $300 million budget.
Wow. Now, that probably just scraped over the black.
Yeah, maybe.
And we don't know that because this movie had a lot of press going for it when it originally came out.
Yeah. I genuinely think they needed to crack, I think it was $800 million, I think it was, to start making money.
Wow.
From what I remember reading. So they didn't quite get there. So, for a $300 million budget, this is unfortunately what you would call not a disaster, not necessarily a bomb, but certainly not where they wanted it to.
It's riding the line on that.
It is certainly riding the line.
You would think this is the Avengers of DC, Troy.
Yeah.
This should have made $1 billion.
Well, yeah. Look, I've said this before. I don't think it's a fair comparison to compare it to the Avengers.
Well, no. The Avengers did have, 15 years of films leading up to that, essentially.
No.
Well, 15 films at least.
No, we've only just hit 10 years of the MCU, buddy.
No.
So I don't know where you're getting your figures from. But by the time we got to the Avengers, so they already had well and truly established characters. Every character that was in there, every main character that was in there, had their own sort of main movie or a couple of those movies. So they were well established, but that was the first of its kind. That was the first time we were sort of seeing something like that on screen as a bunch of fanboys, and we just shelled out money.
Oh, take all of it, mate.
I remember watching the Avengers in 3D, which I hate, but because that was the only showing that was happening at the time.
I remember that.
Yeah, and so we went and saw it in 3D, and I fucking hated myself for it, but I still wanted to see it so bad that I paid 3D money, and then I went back as soon as they released a proper screening. I class 2D as proper, straight back to see it. So it's an unfair comparison because by the time you get to 2017.
There's a lot of superhero movies.
There's a lot of superhero movies since 2008's Iron Man.
And we originally released an episode, 6 months ago, Superhero Fatigue.
Yeah.
Like even covering this type of stuff. And we kind of came up to that conclusion that, things are going to probably start dropping off a little bit.
Yeah. And then we get to 2018 and realize there's like 1,000 friggin' superhero movies.
Yeah.
Superhero movies and TV shows. And we realize that we don't actually know anything about anything. Now let's talk quickly about the critical reception. 6.9 on IMDb, 40% on Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 77%. Metacritic gave it 45, and it had a cinema score of B+. So kind of one of those things, again, where it's kind of like it's kind of critics hated it, fans liked it, but there's still a pocket of very vocal fans that, will defend anything that Zack Snyder does.
All 12 of them show up to Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Then there's also a very vocal, group of detractors that will try to tear apart any single thing that is, that is made by DC. So, it is one of those things. You can't really take much out of these. You really need to go into these things as blind as you can. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when we talk about the movie a bit.
Yeah.
Who's in it?
Okay, so this movie had Batfleck, Wanda Gadot, Aqua Bro, Speed Skating Flash, Moustache Man, and CGI Ray Fisher.
Excellent. And it is directed, as we know, by Zack Whedon or Joss Snyder. Depending how you want to go.
You're blowing people up with these names, Troy.
I don't want to trigger anyone. It's Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon, goddammit. And, from what I've seen, it's, I don't know. I mean, we're going to talk about the extras and everything as well that come with the digital release. But I will say this very quickly. I watched all of the extras and not once did I see Joss Whedon.
Oh, really?
100%. 100%. Not once on set.
Guess they didn't have the B-roll crew on the reshoots.
Yeah, maybe not. But there was a lot of Zack Snyder. Like they were very much trying to sort of remind you that this is Zack Snyder's movie.
Yeah,
and we'll talk about that a little bit more as well. Let's get into it. So I guess the first question for you, my friend, having rewatched it, has your opinion changed?
I went back into this movie watching it. Like I tried to go in there with fresh eyes, an unbiased approach.
Yep.
And I think not watching it in the cinemas, I didn't have as much as an enjoyable experience.
Really?
Yeah, like at home, I guess the magic isn't quite there for a film like this.
You just need to get a better couch, dude.
I think that's what it is.
You just got an uncomfortable
I got
couch.
got a pretty good TV, got a pretty good audio system.
Yep.
But the magic wasn't there on the home viewing.
It's just because you didn't have popcorn, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I didn't have 3 liters of soft drink.
and a giant bucket of popcorn, yeah.
And a bin full of popcorn.
I would say it had the opposite effect for me.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I had a probably a more enjoyable experience the second time around.
And is that just for convenience factor, or is it because perhaps some things you couldn't see as bad or some things didn't look as bad?
Yeah, look, I mean, maybe that was it, but like, I guess what I would say is that a lot of the things that people are saying are problems with this movie, I could not see, and it's not that I was completely blind to them or anything, but like there are some certain things that you're kind of like, that's supposed to look shit, and that doesn't look that bad.
Yeah,
that's supposed to look shit. I even genuinely believe that while he still looked crap, Steppenwolf looked better watching it on the TV.
That I will give you, because I went in there with the I was looking to see if Steppenwolf looked shitter.
Yeah.
Because I remember on the screen he looked like a video game character in the cinema. And on the small screen, 100 times better.
Now let me ask you a question. Do you think they've had time before the digital release to go back and just polish it up a little bit?
You know what? They may have, because he looks 100 times better.
Yeah, I was dead set surprised when I was watching it. I'm like, okay, look, it's still a giant 9-foot CGI character that they didn't really seem to do not a good job, but like it's not the same type of motion capture type of thing that we're used to now.
Yeah.
That we're used to kind of seeing now. So it still looks a bit stilted, and the face is still, it's just all CGI. Like it's not, and I guess because it's not human as well. Like
it's hard to make that connection of it looking real.
Yeah, and I wish they had have just gone with like a more comic book accurate Steppenwolf.
Yes.
Which is kind of just like a big dude
Tony
with
Stark.
a beard. Yeah. Yeah, just like a big Tony Stark.
And I think that's the reason they didn't do it.
Maybe, but I just like if there is a criticism on the DC that I have so far, it's the fact that they tend to rely on these big CGI final battles against these big CGI characters that you just don't give a shit about. So when you're talking about, you're talking about Doomsday, you're talking about Ares, even in Wonder Woman, which was a great movie, and you're talking about this with Steppenwolf. That's 3 times out. Even if you want to go as far as like Suicide Squad, same sort of thing.
Yeah,
like they fight that big incubus thing or whatever it is, and and that doesn't make any sense. And that's kind of where they seem to be. Like for some reason, that's what they want to do.
Yeah, they kind of really drop the ball always in this third act of the movie, and I'm going to go against you a little bit because I think Batman vs Superman probably had one of the better third, I guess, scenes in a movie in the sense of a battle.
Really?
I probably enjoyed that more than all these other movies, where it kind of felt like that was almost earned in Batman vs Superman, whereas all this, it kind of just happened. In Justice League, Superman just kind of shows up and saves the day like a Superman should, but there's no, I guess, reward in the sense of I've been watching this and he's just rocked up, saved the day, and everyone's laughing.
Yeah, like I get that, but I mean, Batman kind of made it pretty well known that they need him.
Yeah.
They need him to win. If they don't have him, they're not going to.
Yes.
Basically is what he said. And that was like, he changed the game. When he rocked up, he's just like, hey, yeah, I believe in truth and justice. And it's like punch.
Superman theme.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But so it is kind of like, yes, I get what you're saying in the sense of like, it's a little bit ridiculous. It's kind of like they've built up this whole thing and then all of a sudden Superman just rocks up and it's kind of like punch, punch, punch. We kind of win.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I guess my point is more around the fact that they do have this reliance on these CGI villains for whatever reason. And I think they really need to bring it down a level and kind of make it a little bit more sort of human. So I think if they do, like if we do get a Justice League 2 and we do end up going against, Lex Luthor and the Legion of Doom or something like that, that will be good. Because if you have these kind of more grounded characters, these human characters, even though they might have special powers, battling other characters that have special powers, then that's fine.
Yeah, and I mean that's what made Man of Steel so amazing.
Yeah.
Is because he's going up against people that look like himself. We can relate to that.
Yeah.
Zod looks like a human. He's superhuman.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably the only one that kind of bucks the trend.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, the whole final fight scene is this big sort of CGI battle through the entire city of Metropolis. But yeah, it's kind of, it is one of those things where it's kind of like it's Superman kind of like battling his humanity almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess my whole point, Steppenwolf didn't look as bad this time.
Yeah,
around.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Now, Troy, did you notice a difference between the directors?
I would say that again, not as glaringly obvious. And I really tried to go into this movie with, like you said, with fresh eyes, but kind of like, it's kind of like I know the issues.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm trying not to worry about them.
Yeah, you're trying to look past them.
Yeah, I just want to sit down and just watch a movie for 2 hours and, and just see what happens. And, I had my partner there as well and, she had a good time.
Yeah, same with mine.
And it's one of those things where, like as with your partner, they're not really into the whole sort of superhero thing or comic books or, anything like that. They kind of probably, if neither of them were with us, they probably
wouldn't go out and watch this movie.
These wouldn't be their go-to movies, but they suffer through it because they love us or whatever. But it's one of those things where they're kind of like that's the freshest eyes that you can get. And I guess both of them were kind of they were like, yeah,
that was a good movie.
That was a good fun time. So as far as the difference in directors goes, though, I will say this. a lot of the things that people are claiming was Joss Whedon, I think they'll find was actually Zack Snyder.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And there are a few sort of things where people are like, oh, that's obviously CGI mustached Superman. Actually wasn't.
Yeah.
So
that's just his upper lip.
That's just his upper lip and his British teeth.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I think a lot of people have been very quick to kind of jump on the bandwagon of hate and kind of go, oh yeah, that looks ridiculous. Oh, that must be like, they fucked that, or why couldn't they do that? Like, oh, look at this AI program that I created that can do a better job and stuff like that.
Get your deep fakes out of here.
You know what I mean? But it's kind of it's one of those things where, hey, guess what? That's actually not how you think it went.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's fantastic. And I love it when it's like that, because there's definitely moments in this film where I look at the mustache gate and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's like added or not, because like Henry Cavill has a very distinct upper lip, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the more that you look at it, the more you realize.
Yeah. On second viewing, like I would say the only time it was incredibly noticeable was the opening scene.
Yeah.
Right? And even then, I kind of tried to just look past it. And again, I didn't mention anything to my partner. She didn't say anything about it looking overly weird or anything like that. The only thing she did say is that on the title screen of the Justice League digital release, where it's basically got play and all that sort of stuff, and it's the Alex Ross-esque picture of the team. She's like, who's the guy playing Superman? And I'm like, that's Henry Cavill. And she's like, did he play Superman before? And I'm like, yeah, in every other movie that you've seen him in, like Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, he looks completely different.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it's just Henry Cavill.
You know what? He is looking slimmer in this movie.
Yeah, definitely. Noticeably slimmer in the face.
Yes.
For sure.
100%. And I think that has a big effect on him.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it does. Maybe because he has those big teeth as well.
Maybe.
It kind of makes his upper lip look weird naturally anyway.
Maybe. He does have a big mouth, doesn't he?
He does. He's a great guy.
He's a very handsome man.
He's a very handsome man. We are not ragging on Henry Cavill's looks. Who the hell are we to rag on Henry Cavill's looks? He's a great looking kid. But yeah, like when you're talking about the battle at Justice Park or whatever it is, or if you're talking about his visiting home to the cornfields of Smallville, there's scenes where everybody were like, fake, reshoot,
all
fake,
real.
fake, and it was
all real.
It was all original stuff, baby.
Cop that, mate.
Cop that.
Now, one thing I did notice between the directors was one scene of Batman.
Okay.
When Superman comes back and Batman's face almost turns into a bloody anime character.
Where's that?
It's when it's in our final battle.
Yeah.
And Batman's either like hanging on a wall or something like that. And he's like the biggest, cheesiest grin I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The biggest eyes. It's like anime eyes, sparkles coming out, everything. I was like, and I failed to mention this on our original review, but I was like, man, that goes against everything that like kind of Batman is to me.
Yeah.
And it just kind of took me out of that moment for like just that split second of like, that's ludicrous.
But this isn't Batman, sort of like at his peak, in the middle of his sort of vigilante days, where he's kind of like, he's at the end of his career.
Oh, and you know what? It's all circumstantial, because this is the end of the world, potentially.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have the biggest fucking smile on your face when Superman rocks up to save the day.
Well, not only that, when you're pushing, like when you're mid-40s,
yeah,
and, you're going up against effectively a god, and you've got some god-like people sort of helping you out, and you're just a dude in a suit, but you're 45 and things are starting to hurt. When Superman rocks up, you're going to be like, fuck yeah. Like,
I can take a back seat.
Yeah. I'm going to go have a smoke and a friggin' Red Bull now, because I just get to chill out and relax.
Absolutely. Like, I
rehydrate.
Yeah. I totally get the circumstantial, like, matters of it, but it's just such an out-of-character thing for Batman. And it's even later on, he's like to Superman, oh, I'm glad you're back, but I mean, like, not that I was glad that you were gone, or...
No, he's kind of like, because I think Superman says... what's he say? He says something along the lines of, "You must really hate me," or something like that. And he's like, "Oh no, I don't hate." And then it kind of like cuts, and then it goes, off somewhere else.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of like really unsure of like how to say "I love you" or "I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you"
exactly.
or something like that. Yeah.
And it's humorous, but like it kind of goes against everything that Batman has been portrayed to be forever.
Yeah,
but
true.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't mind it. It just kind of takes you out that little bit.
Yeah. There's a couple of other things that I would say that there are some obvious differences. Obviously, the humor that's kind of just thrown in there, here and there. One thing that I'm not sure of though. Now this is a scene that a lot of people were claiming was a Joss Whedon kind of overly sexualized kind of thing.
Okay.
Right? It's the scene where they're in the Gotham harbor tunnels, right? And it's where they're kind of first fighting the parademons and Steppenwolf and whatnot. And there's a scene where Flash and Wonder Woman are falling, and Flash falls on top of her and then quickly jumps off.
Yeah.
And then off he goes. And it's like that little awkward, like, do we really have to sexualize it like that? Make it like weird and awkward and all that sort of stuff. Now that entire thing was Zack Snyder, right? That entire scene was Zack Snyder. So I'm just wondering, like, are people assuming that Joss Whedon came in and kind of got, let's get these, because they built these 3 massive set pieces so they could like shoot that scene and have it look realistic and stuff like that. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is it would be weird to think that wasn't a Zack Snyder scene, because it was set in exactly the same thing. Yeah. Like for Joss Whedon to come in and say, hey, you know what would be good here? If Flash is lying on top of Wonder Woman. Let's go back to that set if you haven't dismantled it already. And let's just reshoot that one bit. Because that whole scene was shot by Zack Snyder. So I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I guess this is again, and I don't want to harp on this point. This would be the last time I really talk about it. But it is, there's a lot of stuff that I think Joss Whedon got a lot of crap for. And I think people were just using that as a way to kind of protect Zack Snyder.
Yeah, no, of course. I'll completely stand by that.
But there's a lot of gratuitous kind of scenes of like Wonder Woman's butt. All that sort of stuff.
That was something that we noticed originally.
Yeah.
And I noticed it again.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is a lot of people were saying, oh, that's that Joss Whedon overly sexualized thing. And guess what? It wasn't. So every single one of those scenes, unless again it was a reshoot just to shoot a shot of her butt, was shot by Zack Snyder. So, I don't know. It's like, I really wish we could just look past it. There are some glaring, obvious sort of like, okay, that's Joss Whedon, that's Zack Snyder. We know that. But I think if people can stop like trying to blame which director for like the things that they didn't like. Yes. Because I guess the point I'm trying to make is you genuinely don't know who
You're never going to know. Unless there's like a version of the movie release that has credits at the bottom. Shot by. Shot by.
Every single one. This scene shot by this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to harp on it, but it's one of those things where, all these things that kind of people were going, oh, that's got to be Joss Whedon because Zack Snyder wouldn't fuck that up.
Yeah, exactly.
Or he wouldn't do that like that. Well, guess what? It was Zack Snyder.
Too bad, mate.
Yeah, so, that's my point.
Yeah,
that's
fair. Troy, where does the DCEU go from here?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Just keep making excellent Wonder Woman movies. Just shoehorn the rest in there.
That's all you need to do. I think 100%. I think they need to build around that character.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say they do need to recast Batman, purely because I think they set themselves up to fail by casting a Batman at the end of his career anyway.
Yeah, it was a really hard decision, isn't it? Because it's like, your Batman can't go anywhere from here because it's been alluded to. His story's been told.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, if you are going to shoot this Matt Reeves Batman movie, then yeah, for sure, cast a younger Batman and someone who, can get away with playing like, it doesn't even have to be the Ben Affleck character. I mean, we can dead set, like as people, we can move past it.
Yeah.
We can understand that, let's say as an example, it's Armie Hammer. Just randomly. I'm just throwing it out there. Let's say it is Armie Hammer, and he doesn't look anything like Ben Affleck, but he's playing the Batman now, but he's playing a younger version of it, for these older stories. I mean, we can move past the fact that this guy grows up to be Ben Affleck. It doesn't matter, but I think they really need to, going forward, I think they need to reset it with Flashpoint. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the way you redo your Batman. And then you could have your Batman, like your original Batman movie, set after that, but kind of as a prequel to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like that's the Batman of this Flashpoint Earth or whatever.
Time doesn't become linear anymore after Flashpoint.
Yeah. So when you cast, like, and Ben Affleck has now apparently come out and said that he's very much on the fence about, where he goes with this character. Like he really wants to stay, but he kind of knows that, it's probably time to move on soon and stuff like that. We know he's contracted to one more appearance, which people are saying is probably going to be Flashpoint, maybe Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah.
So it's I think you got to move on past him. You've got to get yourself a new Batman, and you need to give us a Man of Steel 2.
Yeah.
And that's all I can
bring
really
that
say.
on. Bring Brainiac.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the same. I think a lot of it depends on what happens in Flashpoint. Flashpoint, they can almost do whatever they want with this DCEU.
Yep.
I feel they really need to build the universe around Wonder Woman because obviously she's the most well-received character.
Yep.
We need that Man of Steel 2, and we need a refresh Superman.
Do you mean refresh as in...
Not a new character.
New actor? No.
No. Just as in the Superman that the general people want.
Yeah. Well, look, in excuse me, in one of the extras, Henry Cavill does kind of talk about how we have finally seen, the story of Superman. Yeah. So it's kind of like you see kind of like the birth of him in Man of Steel, and then his ultimate kind of downfall in Batman vs Superman, to his rebirth to the Superman that we all know and love in Justice League.
Yes.
And I don't think it's given enough of a treatment in Justice League to kind of really sort of go, yeah, that's it. But you see enough of it that you go, yeah, cool. All right, we're on
definitely
the right track. So you give us a Man of Steel 2 now that is set after the events of Justice League. And it's kind of this new, improved, full of hope and, big, cheesy, big smile, big teeth.
Yeah.
Weird lip.
Weird lip Superman.
Weird lip Superman. Taking on the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. Now, you've been kind of like hinting at these extras that come with the digital release from iTunes. Let's discuss, because I haven't watched all of them. I watched the deleted scenes, and that was about it. So,
all right, let's talk about the deleted scenes first.
The deleted scenes. So we see this, the return of Superman, and we see the famed black and silver suit that was teased by Henry Cavill on social media, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And it kind of set the world on fire, and everyone wanted to see it.
Yeah.
We didn't get it. We've got it in this deleted scene. Why they didn't include this in the movie is beyond me. We did talk earlier that the movie goes for 2 hours exactly.
Yep.
Now that's
not a second over.
Not a second over.
Yep.
That's a Warner Brothers input thing right there.
Yeah.
That has to be, because that is too coincidental for it not to be.
Yeah.
And this scene only goes for 2 minutes, and for it to not be included is like such a downfall to all the fans.
Well, I agree with you to a point. I don't necessarily think, like, I like the fact that it was just a kind of a glimpse of it in the background,
and that's all I would have needed.
Like, you don't need to have him coming back so comic book accurate and having the black suit and the long hair and all that sort of stuff. Like that doesn't necessarily need to happen, even though you kind of have to ask the question, if his cells can't decay, why didn't his hair grow when he was dead?
Why didn't his nails grow?
I should say. You know what I mean? So that guy should be coming out kind of like needing a haircut and a manicure for sure. But he came out with just normal Henry Cavill hair, and that's fine. Whatever. His chest hair looked like it grew a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention in the other movies, was I? Right?
He was pretty hairy in Man of Steel, man.
But I guess my point is, I like the fact that he kind of like, he looks away from it, and then he opens up this other thing, and then you see him with this kind of, this brighter colored suit that he ends up in at the end of the thing.
Yeah.
And he decides that, no, it's not about like, all somber and black and, all that sort of, whatever. It's kind of like, no, this is me now. This is like...
new life, new me.
Yeah, new year, new me. You're going to see this new suit, and it's going to be bright and colorful, and you're going to see me coming right before I smack you in the mouth.
Yes. Now, also in this scene, we get to have a look at Superman's war suit in the background.
Yeah.
Now, I have a theory here, Troy.
Okay.
If the DCEU gets this far, I reckon Lex gets his hands on that and creates his Lex war suit.
Yeah, I would hope so. Like, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be amazing.
But see, these are all things that, you know, you look at and you go, and this is what causes problems. Because we see these things as fans and we know what they are and we recognize what they are and the potential that they hold. When the people that are in charge don't follow through with our hopes and dreams, then
it's very soul destroying.
Yeah, we're very quick to go, oh, that's fucked. Like, why couldn't they have done that? Or why didn't they do that? Or this, that, or the other. And that's how we end up with these outcries of like, that was the shittest thing I've ever seen because that's not how I would have done it. And it's kind of not up for us to decide how things are done. It's up for us to decide how much enjoyment we take out of what they have given us.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if we're going to be like this fickle about things, we still haven't seen the payoff of that other open pod that was in Man of Steel.
Yeah. There are plenty of things. You know, we know that a deleted scene from Justice League is Bruce Wayne looking at what looks to be a Supergirl.
Yes.
Right? You know what I mean? And there's no payoff from that.
Nothing from that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we can sit back and go, you know, it's a very kind of, I don't want to talk about Star Wars, but it's a very Last Jedi-ish type of thing where everybody has built up all these kind of expectations that weren't met. And then, you know, they just shit their pants because they're like, I can't believe you didn't follow through with what I wanted exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, it's hard because I'm in that group where I'm like, I want this. I'm greedy, Troy. I want everything that I in bunny ears, deserve as a fan of these movies.
Yeah.
And they're criminals for not giving me those exact things that I want.
Well, let me ask you this question. If you were making a movie, right?
It'll be the most perfect comic book movie you'll ever see.
No, because this is... All right, well, okay, let me counterpoint that with this. Punisher Warzone, right, is probably one of the more comic accurate movies out there. Like, they literally shot scenes, like, page for page out of a comic book.
Yes.
And it got panned. You know what I mean? And it made $10 million worldwide on a $35 million budget. And, you know, like... No matter what Lexi Alexander did, that's the director of Punisher Warzone, no matter what she did to try to please the fans, she literally, like, she listened to all the complaints about the other two movies and this, that, and the other, and what do you want? We want more, like, realistic, like, violence, and we want this, and we want it to be realistic, but also over the top, and we want this, that, and this, and, you know, you got to be comic book accurate and give us this, and Frank Castle doesn't have feelings, he doesn't need to be talking too much, and all this sort of stuff, so she listened to everything that they said, and guess what? They still weren't happy, and they didn't pay money to go and see the movie, and things still went wrong. So as a movie maker, could you imagine the pain in having to listen to people like us go, this is what I want, this is what I want, no, this is what I want, and this. How do you even make something that is like even remotely your own vision and expect to please everybody?
You can't, Troy. It's impossible.
You know what I mean?
You make the movie for yourself and then hope everyone else watches it.
Well, yeah, I don't even know if you make it for yourself, but you make it with the best intentions. And like even Zack Snyder, when you're looking at Zack Snyder's work, like some of that is just is straight off the pages of some of these comics.
Absolutely.
And it's still not enough for people.
Yeah.
Because people are now saying, oh, there's no, you know, that character isn't exactly how I want them to be. Yeah, sure, you got Batman right, but you fucked Superman up. And this, that, and the other. And, you know, you can't have the conflict between the two and all this sort of stuff. So you can't win with fans is basically what I'm saying.
Why make movies?
Why?
Why does anyone...
Why bother?
Why does anyone bother to do anything?
All right. Second deleted scene was...
Superman returning and going to see Alfred.
Yeah, it was the old Jurassic Park scene. The old shaky glass of whiskey on the table.
I was let down.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. In my mind, I was like, I just wanted the big Green Lanterns.
It was never going to be.
It was never going to be. I know. And I set myself up for 100% failure there. And it's like, oh, imagine if it was just like someone in a motion cap suit. And it's like, this would have been a Green Lantern.
Man, like, I think it's good that it finally puts it to rest.
Yeah.
Like that it was just Superman this whole time, you fools.
And like, I knew it was going to be Superman. I was under like no illusion that it wasn't going to be, but my heart wanted 2 Green Lanterns.
Yeah. Well, we got some Green Lanterns.
Well, we did get
anyway.
one Green Lantern.
Yeah, we got one, and we got the illusion of another as the ring flies off to find someone else, which we can all assume is probably not Hal Jordan because it would have been centuries ago.
Yes.
So I guess some of the other deleted scenes, if I'll just run through them quickly, not necessarily like about them or anything, but just what you can expect. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of there's a nice little sort of 14-minute this is the Justice League. It's kind of like where more comic books.
Yeah.
So where they started to where they ended up with the New 52
so like
sort of thing.
Education type of thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's some of that. There's Ray Fisher kind of introducing the 3 new characters of Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman.
Yep.
There's a big focus on the Holy Trinity. I call them the Holy Trinity, not just the Trinity.
Yeah, they're the Holy Trinity.
They're the Holy Trinity. So there's a big focus on them. There's a lot of sort of interviews with comic book creators. Jeff Johns is in there a lot.
Yeah,
so
cool.
you get a lot of like really kind of a really interesting look at, I want to say, what this movie could have been, because there seemed to be so much passion behind it. And there's a really cool featurette, which is like breaking down of the scenes, and it picks 4 kind of major action set pieces.
Yep.
And it breaks them down. So it's like, there's Wonder Woman's scene in the bank. There's the Justice Park battle. There's kind of the stuff in the Gotham Harbor, that sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
And it just really
Very
breaks
cool.
it down and shows you kind of how they came up with all of it, and what went into bringing it to life.
Troy, I've got 2 more questions.
Sure.
Let's get through them quick. What else did you want to see? Like, was there anything that you wanted to see in this movie that you think could have helped it?
Yeah. You go if you've got an answer.
I want to see what was cut out. I want to see what fills in the spaces, because the movie is very rushed. It goes from here to here to here to here very, very quickly. This is a movie that doesn't need to be rushed. I want to earn that ending.
Yeah.
And a lot of the DCEU films make you earn them.
Yeah.
This movie kind of
earn them through 2 hours and 45 minutes of movie.
Exactly. Not 2 hours exactly on the dot, so Warner Brothers executives get their bonuses.
Yeah.
I want that full cut.
Yep.
And I don't care, like, if it's a Josh Whedon cut or a Zack Snyder cut, a mixture of it. I just want what this movie was destined to be, not what it is now.
Yeah. I'd like to, I would dead set, not that I'm like a massive, massive, massive Zack Snyder fan. Like I've always said this about Zack Snyder. Visually, he is a master.
Yes.
Telling a story, not so much. And so I would really like to see what his vision for this was initially. Like, I think you're right in the sense of there's a lot of stuff that kind of cuts very quickly, and it's, as an example, we see nothing about the backstory of Cyborg prior to him already being Cyborg.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And we know there was a whole bunch of stuff that was shot of, him at his football game and him having his accident and this, that, and the other. And, we get none of that. I think the Aquaman stuff is kind of very rushed through as well. It's kind of like, oh, hey, here I am. And it's kind of like, no, I'm not going to join you. I'm going back to here. And I arrive just in time to fight Steppenwolf and then get a serving from Mira. And then I just rock up next time and I've already got my armor on.
Exactly. I know where exactly you are.
Yeah. None of that. So, yeah, this movie could have benefited from at least another probably half an hour of, story, I guess. Just kind of filling in those gaps as to like how people get to where they are and, who they are and, more sort of background on, we know there's a whole scene that involves the Flash and
saving Iris West.
Yeah, saving Iris and all that sort of stuff. Like that stuff that, has probably just been cut to save time and get it to this exact sort of 2-hour point. But it's stuff that, that gives us context.
Absolutely. There's also a deleted scene that it's not official. It's being reported that we get Darkseid in this.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want that.
I want that too. But
because there's a chance that we may never get to see him now.
Well, that is true. That's definitely true. We don't know if we're going to get a Justice League 2. But yeah, I guess that's all I wanted from it, is just a little bit more context because, again, this is very much a Batman vs. Superman theatrical cut where it's kind of like very rushed along and you're kind of like, well, hang on, how'd you get that? Well, how'd you know that was, all that sort of stuff. And Ultimate Edition, that there is a cohesive story in there somewhere.
Absolutely.
We just need that, I guess. Yeah, that's it for me. What was your other question?
After the revisit, Troy, is it a hit, split, or shit?
I still claim it as a hit. Now, again, that comes with a very much, this isn't a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination, right? I think, though, this movie suffers more from the fact that we are so educated as people.
Yes.
In regards to this kind of stuff, we know what we want to see, and we know kind of how these things could go. I guess really we're to blame for our own expectations being set so high.
We're our own worst enemies when it comes to this.
We are. There are a lot of things that this movie does really well. There are a lot of scenes, again, that are absolutely like spot on, like pitch perfect.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff that is, could be left on the cutting room floor.
Anime Superman.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I still call it a hit. I still had a really good time. Like it wasn't a hard 2-hour watch. I didn't stop it at any point because it was kind of like, like I was bored or, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's a very good sort of thing because you have the opportunity because you're just watching it at home. It's a digital release. You can stop it at any point and go, nah, I'll come back to that when I got a bit more time. I just sat there and watched the whole thing and I had a good time. And I think what's important is that, somebody who hasn't seen it and hasn't kind of had, doesn't have the expectations that we have also sat there and enjoyed it and had a good time. And, there are some story problems, but that happens all the time. You?
I rate it, mate. I went there and I had a lot of fun. The way I can really tell if I'm enjoying myself at home watching a movie is if there's no iPads or phones. If there's an iPad or a phone near me and I don't touch it, I'm enthralled in this movie.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, man.
Nice.
I'm not distracted by anything. 100% watch the whole thing. It's fantastic. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. But it could be funner.
It could be funner.
And that's going to do it for another episode. Stay tuned next week where we review Black Panther.
Black Panther. Now, we could have done that this week. We gave the people the option of, hey, do you want us to revisit Justice League or do you want us to early review Black Panther? Man, it was a landslide victory to revisiting Justice League.
I was so surprised by that. It was like 99% to 1.
Yeah, basically. So we're going to get to Black Panther next week. Damn, there is some hype around this movie.
Absolutely. This is, I don't want to say anything yet, but this movie's got a lot of hype.
It does.
It's got the most hype around a Marvel movie in the longest time.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere that it... So for a while, it had a perfect rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
And it's now had 2 bad reviews. So it's dropped it down, and both bad reviews come from Australia.
Wow.
Like Australian critics. So, hey, you can blame us, not us personally, but us as Australians for fucking with Black Panther's perfect score. Not those people on on Facebook who were purposely trying to sabotage it, which is just ridiculous.
Oh, well. That's life, mate.
That's life. So that's coming next week. Where can people find us?
They can find us on Facebook. That's Comic Confidential Podcast. Is it podcast? Just search Comic Confidential. It'll show up.
Yep.
We also have the listener community, which is where you want to be, Troy. That's Comic Confidential Listener Community. Jump in there. We've got a brag board. You can brag about all the shit that you're doing. We've got great members in there who are like, just that group, it's growing every day. And there's just fantastic topics to talk about in there.
Fantastic memes.
Memes galore. If you like memes, this is the place to be. We also have Instagram and Twitter. That's at ComicConPod. Troy, we also have a website, and that's ComicConPod.com. Past episodes, future episodes, and coming soon, daily episodes.
Damn.
Going to have to set up a whole new tab. Actually, I've got a tab in there that says news, and that's actually going to start getting news in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We also have a Patreon. That's patreon.com/ComicConPod. If you want to support the show, you can do that for as little as $1 a month. And there's a whole bunch of things that you can get for that.
Early access
and whatnot. And then the perks just keep coming, baby. We have a new Patreon.
We do. And that's Caitlin Bunter.
Caitlin, welcome to the team, my friend.
Welcome to the team.
You are an amazing human being, and we love you.
Yeah, we do.
And that's all I got to say, really.
Wow.
Welcome.
Welcome. You know what? I don't know if anyone knows this about Patreon, but you get like a separate podcast feed for Comic Confidential in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that.
You know that. But I guess the people who aren't Patreon members don't know that.
Yeah.
So, like, you get the normal Comic Confidential feed, which is the one that you get here.
Yeah.
But then there's this whole other feed that will just feed into your podcast app with all the extra stuff.
Wow. Everyone's getting fed.
Everyone's getting fed. Man, those Patreon members are getting big and fat from all the extras they're getting.
Damn. So welcome to the team, Caitlin. Man, I think that's it. I think that's it for this week. We've done enough. I feel like we've done enough. Have we done enough?
I think we've done the most.
The most best.
Yeah. I think we've done more than enough.
Okay. That's nice. So I'm going to wrap it up then. Thanks for listening. As always, I'm Troy.
I'm Cade.
And this has been Comic Confidential.
Cheers.
Peace. Did you just call all our patrons fat?
Yep. PH fat, though, because they're cool.
Pretty hot and tempting.
Oh.
You know that's what fat means, right?
No, I didn't know that.
What?
Is that on Urban Dictionary?
Yeah, that's literally what PH fat means.
Okay, I'm writing that.
What did you think it meant?
I just thought it was like just an alternative way.
Wow.
I'm typing this in.
This is the widest I've ever seen you.
All right. Urban Dictionary? Oh, yeah, pretty hot and tempting. Wow.
Mate.
There you go. You learn something new every day.
Fat.
See, I didn't know. I did not realize it was an acronym.
Well, there you go. Now you do. Now, which is weird when you're saying like, that's a fat beat.
Yeah.
But do you really sort of say like fat PH fat for beat, or do you just say fat like FAT?
Yeah, I would say fat.
I would say fat.
Yeah, fat.
Yeah, fat.
Yeah, PH.
No, F.
Oh. If you love this podcast, then head over to comicconpod.com to check out the other incredible shows on our network.
You can also support us on Patreon from as little as $1 a month.
You'll get early access to all our shows, plus secret supporter content that's not available to the public.
Head over to patreon.com/comicconpod to find out more.